Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, September 5th, 2022. Fall is right around the corner. I know it is. I swear it is. I say that, and then the temperatures go back up. We don't want that. Not yet, anyway. I mean, we do, but not. We want fall to get here. I know I do. I don't know how everybody else is doing. I know that there's some crazy stuff going on weather-wise around the country. I've seen on the news channel or whatever that California is having all kinds of fires and stuff going on out there, and all the normal crazy stuff that goes on in California anyway. But in one of the articles I saw that this fires, obviously it's a distressing thing, losing housing. There's been loss of lives, and it's all terrible. And it was interesting to me. They led with a picture of what looked like, I want to say a 65 or 6 Chevy short bed sitting in somebody's driveway, and the whole truck was burned up and the house was gone. It's a tragedy all the way around. You don't want to see anybody lose property, vehicles, and especially losing a life in those situations. But it was just interesting to me they had put that truck in the front page of the article. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. I hope we have a good turnout tonight. I don't know what to expect because it is Labor Day, and as it should be, people should be off and celebrating and doing different things and cookouts and all that stuff that goes along with the holidays. So if you're new to the live stream, if you just happen to be stumbling through it, most of what we talk about is about classic cars, and I've given those parameters before, usually 55 up to, and I've pushed it up to 78, maybe 79, but somewhere in that time bracket, we try to talk about those cars. If you do have a question, I ask you, bring it up. I encourage you to ask questions, even if it's something you think is trivial. Ask away, because if I can help you out and give you an answer, great. If I can't, there's all these people over here in the chat box that usually have some good information that they can share with us. And we've answered many questions that people have had over, I don't know how long I've been doing this now, over maybe 2 years. So it's been good to have that interaction with everybody. And it also may encourage others to get involved. So if you're on this, already hit the thumbs up and all that, help it be seen on YouTube. And if you do interact, well, I give you a bell, just a little reward system that I've developed on my own. Did a lot of research, and I've discovered that people like to be rewarded. So there you have it. There's the bell. Okay, so right off the top, first one in was Jerry from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. And he says, I'm not sure I will make the live stream. I was attacked by a wasp today, not doing so well. I feel for you. I do, Jerry. I don't know if you're listening or not, or if you're feeling ill or whatever. Those things will get you. It's been a long time since I've had a direct sting from a wasp, but I've been hit by yellow jackets. Brutal. It depends on where they hit you too. I had a yellow jacket hit me in the temple. Man, that about laid me out. I couldn't believe how much pain there was and how long it lasted. I was really shocked. So yeah, I hope you're feeling better, Jerry. Sorry to hear you got stung, but I'll give you a bell for being the first one here. Terry Keithley, good evening all. Jerry, ouch. They are little demons. Please hit the like and thumbs up, Barry. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, we have Rick checking in from Jersey, New Jersey. Hello all. Now that my Mustang is done, I started a new project, a 1989 Jeep YJ. Okay, I'll give you a bell for starting a new project. How about that? Ray Buckman, good afternoon all. Happy Labor Day, Barry and everyone. Hot today in Colorado, 90 degrees. We had some pretty high temperature. Well, I say high, but that's hot in Colorado for sure. Definitely. I know that we've been having stuff in the mid to high 80s, but it's been declining. Now, along with that, we've been getting quite a bit of rain. It has been just about every day we're getting 40 to 60% chance of rain. So we're making up for rain we didn't get earlier in the summer. And I know that there's storms coming in Hurricane season is upon us, so there will be definitely some rough weather for some of us. But glad you're here, Ray. Blue Healer. Hi, Barry and all. 101 today in the high desert of northern Nevada. 103 tomorrow. Celebrated Labor Day with Cajun chicken and a drive in my GT Mustang. Let's go, Brandon. Give you a bell for that. Yeah. Yeah, our commander... No, let's not even go there. Just, we all know it's terrible. We all know it's terrible. Crash Rider. From warm and very humid southern Indiana, good evening to everyone. Joe Daddy, the problem solver, came through again on 56 gas. Be sure to hit the like button. Thank you, Crash Rider. Yeah, that's that steering box, man. And I'm not 100% happy with it, but that's the way I am. I don't know. I overthink stuff a lot. And that steering box, it will work. It'll do exactly what it's meant to do. I've had some people comment, and I mentioned about the bump steer and all that. And I had some people comment, and I've gotten some great comments. Some were saying, it's going to have terrible bump steer, blah, blah, blah. Others have said it shouldn't really have any bump steer. Bump steer is relatable more so in a car that has control arms. It has upper and lower control arms and coil springs, and that movement is more independent. Whereas the straight axle, it's kind of shared in a sense. And we did a little test, Roger and I, hindsight. We actually climbed up on the front frame rails to a combined weight of, 350 or something like that. And we were jumping up and down on those frame rails, and they were moving like, not even half an inch. It was just barely even moving. So with that in mind, I don't know that there's going to be much movement at all with everything bolted on, fenders and hood, because I doubt there's going to be another 300 pounds added to the front of this. Shouldn't be. Another question that was brought up about the brake lines. I mentioned about putting the brake lines underneath the frame rail, so it was kind of hidden a little more, and it would hide the tubing, give a place to hide things. And somebody commented that, what about bump stops? I'll be honest. First of all, I didn't even consider bump stops on this car. And second of all, I don't know the bump stops would do you any good at all. The leaf springs are so inflexible, let's say, that if you collapse that thing far enough to make contact with a bump stop, you're probably upside down in a ditch somewhere. Because I don't see how this car is going to relate to that kind of movement. Again, if we had a control arm suspension with coils or a rear axle leaf spring setup, probably a different situation. Because another thing you think about, let's say just as an example, the leaf springs on, and I know I'm not to scale here, but leaf springs on, say, a Mustang. If they're this big, the Mustangs on the front, or the leaf springs on the front of this car are like this big. So that the range of motion is so limited. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's going to ride like a tank. But thank you, Crash Rider, again. Hindsight, Roger checking in from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. Nandu checking in. Good evening, everyone. Rick Gaines saying hi to Raj. And Robert is here. Thank you, Robert, for showing up. Simone is checking in. Hello, Simone. Glad you're here. Give you a bell. Give you a bell. So there's some communication back and forth. Let's see. You love the intro music. Cool. Yeah, I've been doing that for quite a while. I always do that on this live stream, but I always try to put a little intro video or soundtrack, let's say, on my videos. And I've found one that I really like, so I tend to play that one again and again, which I think it makes sense. It gets the audience interested in what's coming, because they know by that track probably who is making the video. So anyway, thank you, Simone. Rick Gain, I rewatched the seatbelt video on the convertible. Really helped me with the next thing I want to do with my car. Okay, good. Good. Chris Greenaway. Hey, yo. Glad you're here, Chris. Hot Busa 08. Hi, Barry. Hello, Hot Busa. That's kind of hard to say. Hey, Hot Busa. It's Hot Busa. Welcome, Hot Busa. Today's live entertainment, it will be Hot Busa. I know. It's a motorcycle, right? I think. I'm assuming. Mr. Mikey, 1949. Good evening. It was shop cleaning day at my house. That's always a plus. That is always a plus. It's all cluttered up around here. I can tell you right now, it's a cluttered mess, and it's always a struggle to try to keep stuff put away. It is, but I'm glad you made some progress. I assume you made some progress anyway. Chris Lambert, hey Barry, good to see you. Well, good to know you're here, Chris. I know I always talk about this. I can't see anybody. I can't see anybody, but I'm glad you're here. RC Guy Garage, Tim. Yes, important to keep the working hands alive and new ones interested. Yes. Thank you, Tim. I know you don't usually get on here, but I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Dale, hello from hot Northern California, 108 degrees. Oh, man. Yeah, that's why everything's burning up out there, right? No rain, high temps, everything's dry and ready to go. I hate it for y'all. I do. Simone, we have had really heavy rain here the last few days, Barry. Okay. Yeah, we've had some heavy storms now up in northwest Georgia, I think it was. They got like 10 inches of rain in 12 hours. Stuff is flooded. That was another article I read about. And in that article, they were showing water up to the top of the wheel wells of like a 67 Fairlane that was at a body shop. That's not a good sign. And there was other vehicles there, but who cares? It was a classic car sitting there with water up high in it. That's not good. Harvey checking in. Hi, Barry. Top quality cover pick tonight. Happy Labor Day. Thank you, Harvey. What did I... Oh, I saw you had on Instagram. You had a nice little video clip or a little series of pictures on Instagram. The relocation of the coil. And I hadn't really thought about moving the coil. And now I am considering it. I like the idea. If you haven't seen that, Harvey, I don't know if anybody follows you or on the on Instagram very much, but he took the coil and remade the bracket from where it sits on top of the manifold and brought it down vertically in front of the passenger side cylinder head. So really, it's nice. It cleans up that intake manifold a bit and gets it out of the way. So I'll give you a bell for that project. Dave Tyson, hi from Cool, Minnesota. Is it cool or is it cool? Okay. Glad you're here, Dave. Here we go. Here's a question, I think. Sam Mulvihill. Mulvihill? That's my guess. Mulvihill. If I level the cab of my 68 front, back, left, and right, will that be parallel with my front rails when I go to set them, assuming they're in the same plane of the cab I have already leveled? Okay, so we're talking about a truck? When you say cab, are we talking about a truck? Or let me know what exactly we're referring to. Parallel front wheels when I go to set them. Or are we talking about a Mustang? Because there's differences, obviously. But if you're talking about setting frame rails or front rails. So if you're talking about a Mustang, there's actually, I did a video on the Brooklyn Pony car when I put the front frame rails in. And what I noted on that was the frame rails, I don't remember them, I don't think they're exactly parallel with like the rocker panels. I think they actually lean down slightly. I think. I went over that in that video. I used a piece of 1-inch square tubing, and I had a donor car that I referenced the floor supports. I took a jack and I pushed that long piece of 1-inch square tubing up against the floor support, and then I went forward and took a measurement of how high off of the square tubing the frame rail was. And when I put the frame rails back in the convertible car, I used that same technique. I took that piece of square tubing and pushed it up against the floor support, came forward, and did that same drop to get the location. So if we're referring to a Mustang, look into it a little more than just considering that it should be on the same plane, because I don't think it is. I think they're off slightly. Colin, hey Barry and chat, hope all is well. Painted my bell housing today while waiting for the transmission to be fixed. Well, that's at least you got something done. That's good. Anything is positive right now, right? Hot Busa, yes sir. Yeah, talking about a Hayabusa, I believe. Chris, what's better, 390 or 396? That's a good question. I don't know for sure. I do like the 396 engine. I've not messed much with a 390, so I can't say that there's... I think overall you can get more power, more torque out of a 396, I think. But I don't know for sure. I've never seen a comparison between the two. So that's a good question, though. I don't have a good answer. Terry Keithley, Barry ran the sweeper for Betty today. Got chili for supper. We'll work for food. I will work for food as well. Yeah. Yep. I frequently do that. Work for food. Dave Tyson, 72. Oh, that's the temperature. Oh, okay. That is comfortable. That is nice. But you'll pay for it when winter hits, right? When you start getting really bad weather. I mean, it's nice now. It's nice now. What was a vacation talking about the family truckster, and the salesman says, "You hate it now. Wait till you drive it." Such a perfect line in that movie. Perfect line. So, yeah, I do like 72 as a temperature. That is good, though. David and Cheryl, hello, Barry and everyone. Both of us are here. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Well, welcome, David and Cheryl. Nice. I know David is usually at work, but being Labor Day, I'm assuming he's off. So glad you're here. Rick Stevenson, hello, everyone. Hey, Rick. And Simone is commenting. And let's see. Oh, here we go. Mr. Mikey, the post-mortem on the 6.7 coupe I am working on revealed the front left brake line crushed by a rock in the wheel well, hence the seller shared that the vehicle pulled severely to the right. Okay. So is it, you say post-mortem, is it wrecked? Is that what we're implying here? I'm not sure. I don't remember you talking about one of them before. Trying to find... Robert had sent me a picture. Maybe, I don't know if he sent me on email or not, because I was trying to find it. I was gonna show you something, but oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to show you a picture here in a minute. Okay. Okay, so Mr. Mikey says rebuilding, restoring. Okay. Let me. I've got to download this picture. Okay, it should be coming here in a second. So, okay, rebuilding, restoring, Mr. Mikey. Gotcha. Harvey, thanks for the shout out. I hope locating the coil up front will keep it a little cooler, and it cleaned up the looks a bit. Yeah, it did. That was a good idea. I like that. Terry Baptist, hello from Pinellas Park, Florida. Hello, Terry. Glad you're here. Give you a bell. So, I know Rick has brought up that he likes to have some ice cream when he's enjoying the live stream. And I mentioned before that when I make a bowl of ice cream, it's a bowl of junk. It really is. So I have this picture. I'm going to show you this, just so you know. This is typical of what I do with my ice cream. You ready? There's a bunch of junk in that picture. That's usually either like a Rocky Road or a Moose Tracks ice cream. And then I throw on a bunch of salted sea salt mixed nuts on top of that. And then some caramel. And then some salted peanut butter pretzels. So, yeah. Now you know. That's my go-to ice cream. That's my go-to ice cream. Simone. I attended a classic car show yesterday, a rather soggy day, but I did spot a very nice 70s Trans Am in jet black and in a sea of British cars. Well, good. I'm glad there was a cool car there. That was well worth seeing. At least I'm glad you made it to a car show. That's good. Dawn, Jerry's Garage. Sorry to hear that. Me and bees don't get along. I'm also allergic. Hello, everyone. Hello, Dawn. Glad you're here. Oh, speaking of YouTubers and stuff, I know Dawn's been putting out some good stuff. And I just had a notification that Wally, 68 Mustang Restoration, that he put out, apparently it's a time-lapse video. I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to it. But you may want to go check that out after this and just see what he put up. Because I'm assuming he just condensed the whole process. I've wished there was ways that I had better, maybe some more foresight into some of the ways that I do videos. Because I do certain things a certain way, and I shoot the video and I shoot some time-lapse. But I tend to forget the idea of making a huge time-lapse video. And I really have wanted to do that. I know Grease Rookie Andrew has done that with his project as well, but I'm sure Wally has put out a good video on that, so you might want to check that out. Colin, Barry, what's your next project after this one? Well, that's a good question. We're still working on getting some things squared away. As you know, you may know, I was working on the Camaro, ran into some sheet metal issues with it, and AMD is supposedly going to give me some sheet metal come November. I don't know for sure. I'm still I'm not going to hold my breath. I did get a verbal commitment from that, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Aside from that, if everything works out, we can get all the materials together and stuff. Should be a 69 Mustang coming up from Florida. And that car is going to need a lot of rust repair, rebuild this and rebuild that. And we're going to see how that project goes. But that should be the next one that comes up. Should be. Now, if I get the Camaro stuff, I'll try to get it finished up and wrapped up. But I don't know yet. And the Mustang stuff, we're kind of bouncing ideas back and forth on the sheet metal and how to get it and where to get it from. I know that CJ Pony had a sale, and I had put in all of what I feel like all the pieces that I needed to do the fastback conversion on the 67, but it added up really fast. And it also, I was hoping that I would get free shipping, right? Free shipping. No. Because I ordered I was ordering a small floor pan, not the whole car floor pan, the interior floor pan. Because I was going to use that on the other 68 that I have. And then I was going to get the quarters, the roof, the whole sides of the car, all, for the 67. And they went like $1,100 to ship it. And I was like, I don't know that I want to do all that. So I'm still trying to work out some details getting materials. I do have a connection with a Dynacorn dealer, and hopefully we can get on the same page with what parts I need and whatnot. The alternative is they sell the pieces for a fastback that are not a complete side, because I really don't need like the rocker panel and all that. I just need all the side pieces. And I watched a video or two where somebody has taken those pieces and assembled their own side of a car. Now, granted, there are variables in that, and there are things that can be, you got to really make sure you got everything lined up, because at the end of the day, the sheet metal on the outside has to fit. And I have considered that idea of buying all of those pieces. So there's plenty of things to work on. But good question, Colin. Thank you. Terry, have had bear claw ice cream? It's the best. I'm guessing that was a question. Have I ever had bear claw ice cream? Never heard of it. Never heard of it. I don't know. Is that like saying Rocky Road or Pecan something? Is the bear claw something else, or is that like a brand of ice cream? Because there's a lot of variety out there. Wally, it is just a series of photographs, but set to some great music. Hope all are good. Always here, my friend, but usually in the background. Okay, well, good. I want to check out that video. It sounds cool. Hey, I didn't know if you had done a time lapse or what, but pictures, those are great too, because it really tells a story. I've done a few videos where I've made the video using pictures. Back when I was doing more of 67 to 72 Chevy trucks, putting in rocker panels and cab corners and rebuilding the inner rocker and all that stuff. I had it was a white, maybe it was an orange truck that I was working on. And I just took pictures of all that process. So I did the same thing. I just kind of made it all into a picture video or picture series. Rick Stevenson, hey Barry, it's Labor Day. So summer is over. Time to let the owner of the convertible that it's time to come get it. You know what? Can't give you enough bells for that. Yeah. Come get that car and get it out of my life. Exactly right. Yes. Dawn, cool, Wally. I'll check it out. Good. Simone, I like Ben & Jerry's ice cream triple chocolate. Yeah. I'm sure they make good ice cream. I'm sure they do. But I know, I don't buy Ben & Jerry's. I just don't. They tend to have a real political agenda that I don't want to be part of. So I don't participate. But I know they make good ice cream. So, but triple chocolate, that does sound good. Richard, hello from warm Florida. Well, glad you're here, Richard. Hope all is well with you. I was going to tell you, I've been trying to resolve some more issues on the 56. Now, I did put out a Patreon video and I talked about it, and there was issues with the clutch ball. And so you'll see in the next video, I actually just modified the clutch ball. Just put it that way. And I've been working on getting the Z-bar figured out. What's difficult whenever you're building something like this, I won't say it's rat rod, but it's kind of rat rod, because you don't just pull a part off the shelf and bolt it on. In this case, nothing has bolted right on like it should. The Z-bar that was on this car was set up for a 350. And so the dimensions are off. If you remember when I did the frame rails, I cut off the pivot ball that was on the frame. And now that I have the Z-bar kind of located, I had to reposition that. And it has become more of a challenge than I expected it to, because what you may not realize, and maybe some of you do, when you build something like that, you have to be able to take it apart as well as just put it together. It's one thing to assemble it, and weld things together, but if you're going to continue the process of, rebuilding or working on something, you want to be able to take it apart. So what I ran into was I could put the Z-bar in and I could put the pivot ball on one side and weld it to the frame, but I couldn't take it apart. So I just tack weld the pivot ball on with the vertical piece, and so I couldn't take it apart. Even if I pushed the stud back into the tube, I could not take it apart. So I fought with that thing, and I fought with that thing, and I had to modify this and modify that, which you all see in the video. But I finally, before we got started here, I finally got the Z-bar attached. So the pivot point on the frame is welded in, the ball on the engine block is in place and all that, and everything swings in the square motion, which is what I really wanted to get accomplished. And I still have some more things to do. I have to modify or make the, as it turns out, the length of the connecting point from the clutch, the rod coming down to that connecting point, which actually makes the thing rotate, it's now too short. So I'm going to have to cut that off, make a new one, and extend it so that it matches the angle for the arm. Just it's always re-engineering. That's what I do. I just re-engineer everything. Let's see. Simone says, "Oh, I had no idea." Yeah. They're yeah. I'll just go with that. Wally, time lapses are a great way, but very difficult. Have to stitch videos together and then accelerate them. I got a little lazy. Yeah, I get that. What I have, though, is I saved, and I should have done this with Jade. I have a file of all of the time lapse videos alone, because I do make I make a video and I make time lapse with my Osmo camera. And so I have, I don't know how many time-lapse segments that would be very fast because I only film in a 2-second interval, and most of those videos end up being very under a minute for sure. And so I could probably stack all those into one and just let it ride, and it might be pretty cool. But I have not gone to that extent yet. I have other things to do. But I'm sure it'll look good, Wally. Mr. Mikey, caramel, turtle, pecan, ice cream ain't bad either. Caramel, yeah. Turtle, yeah. Turtle, pecan, I guess. I don't know what comes in turtle pecan, but yeah. I'll go with that. Dawn says, Cherry Garcia, yum. Yeah, I'm sure it's good. Terry, it has chocolate ice cream filled with cocoa coated cashews and luscious Denali Caramel. It is Publix brand ice cream. Oh, we're talking about the bear claw thing. Oh, okay. Cocoa coated cashews and luscious. Is it actually luscious, or does it just say that on the box? Denali Caramel. That sounds exotic. But I may have to try that, Terry. Thank you for that. And there is there's 3 good vids on YouTube about Centralia, PA currently. Centralia, that's where the coal, isn't that where the coal keeps burning underground and they can't stop it? They accidentally caught it. I guess Centralia, isn't it? Tell me if I'm wrong. Mac, I'm late. Sorry. That's okay. Glad you're here. Engine mount's done. Yeah, the cross members welded in. I'm finishing up the Z-bar now. And once I get the Z-bar done, the engine and tranny are coming back out. There's still a few little small things to do, but I'll get all that stuff welded, finish welding everything, and then start getting paint on it. I'm going to use, I'll show you this. I've used it before on one of the project on the cross member project for the convertible. This stuff, Steel It. This is some really good paint. It's called stainless steel in a can, and it's actually weldable. Believe it that it's weldable. Anti-corrosion. 316L stainless steel, polyurethane aerosol. It's not cheap, but it's a good quality paint. I like the way it lays out and it looks good. So I'll be doing the whole frame rails. I know the axle and everything will have to get sprayed. I'm not going to mess with the leaf springs, but everything else, it'll get blown apart and cleaned up and painted. So, Richard, it would be boring if you just used off-the-shelf parts. Fabricating parts is fun and challenging. Creative thinking. It is, but it's also eats up time. It eats up time. And I don't know, there's no ideal perfect kit. Like this kit with the axle and the steering box, they could have added in the steering shaft, another U-joint. They could have added in the brake brackets. It was supposed to have the engine mounts and it didn't have it in the kit. So there's a variety of things that you could definitely add on to improve stuff like this. But I don't mind being a creative thinker. It's just I don't want to have to do everything to make it fit. But you're right. Rick, you mentioned that you were going to relocate the part of the Z-bar where the clutch pedal connects. Doing that will make the clutch a bit lighter to push, but might extend the pedal travel. Yes. Yeah. The problem right now, there's two problems. One, the mount point for the rod coming out of the clutch. It doesn't line up with the Z-bar. So I have to either, and I don't want to do this, make a longer bolt, which creates a different set of forces on everything, and I don't like that idea. Or I take and make a new plate that's going to attach to the Z-bar and move it inboard to help compensate for the alignment with the push shaft. But then, as I just figured out, it's off not much. I mean, you're right. It's going to change some of that motion, so we'll just have to adjust it for that. I'll have to consider the idea of maybe indexing the new piece, the new push piece, back slightly, maybe, to help with that travel motion. So that's a good point, Rick. Thank you for that. Dawn, Reengineering, very few things on Betsy didn't have to be modified in some way. Yep, I believe it. Wally, great idea on saving time lapse. I will do it next time. Oh, wait. Yeah. I'll say this. Probably one of my favorite video clips that I've made was on the Mystique Mustang. And when I did that car, I did a video, the very first video on that car. I set a camera up here in the garage, and I drove the car over top of the camera. So you could see the underside of the car, and then I reshot that where I turned the camera around, and I drove the car over top of the camera this way so that you could see it from, as it was like leaving or coming into the garage, you were seeing the back of the car. Okay? Because I like to be creative when I can. So what I did when I made what I'll consider to be the last video for that car, I shot the same thing with the car all finished. I shot a video of it coming in over top of the camera, and then I shot another one with it over top of the camera. I took those two videos and I spliced them together so that whenever the car was driving in, you could see the unfinished front end, and then it changed, and it wasn't in perfect alignment, obviously, but it changed and was the finished car. And then as it drove over, I showed the unfinished back of the car, and as it continued on, it changed into the finished car. Like I said, probably one of the better videos, in my opinion, of with some photo edit or video editing that I really enjoyed doing. And I've tried to figure out ways to make stuff like that happen again. I've even experimented, and I have there's actually a video on this channel, but it's private, where I was goofing around with the idea of me talking to myself. So I have a video on there where I'm on one side of the car, and I film myself like talking to my left, let's say, and then I reshot that where I was on the other side of the car and I was talking to my right, and trying to figure out a way to make like a transfer of a tool or different things like that. So I did experiment with it. I never, it's private, because I just thought it was kind of silly and I didn't want to mess, I was just kind of doing it for myself to see if I could pull it off, but I thought that would be kind of cool. I think I did one other video where I had spliced myself together when I was working on one part of the front of the car and I was working on the back of the car, and I kind of looked up and did some different things like that. So it's fun to be creative like that. But I sometimes I just get, as you all know, I'm like, get this. Here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get this done. Let me explain why, But maybe I would get more viewers if I was doing more oddball stuff like that. Wally, cocoa-coated cashews. Cocoa-coated cashews. Cocoa-coated cashews, yes. Mac says, Roger that, brother. Okay, yeah, the engine mounts and all that, yep. Simone, Centralia, yes, I watched a documentary about that town. It will keep burning for another 250 years. See, I remembered that. I saw that. I've seen documentaries on that as well. Pretty scary, actually. You think about it. We have coal. Who knows how much coal we actually have on the planet? But that stuff starts burning the wrong time in the wrong place. There's nothing going to stop it. That's where Centralia has been burning for like 50 years, I think. It just keeps on burning. They've tried different things and they can't get it to stop. Pretty crazy. Donnie, we have that at work. I never used it. I'm not sure what we were referring to, but I'll just have to take your word for it. Terry, is the 55 Chevy behind you? This is the 56. This is the Gasser project car. Dawn, could bend a dog leg into that arm. I'd have to make a dog leg into that arm. Or, yeah, because I'm going to have to... I get what you're saying, though. It's not a bad idea. Well, either I bend it, either I make a dog leg, or I just relocate it on the arm where I feel like it needs to be. Kind of the same thing. But yeah, you get the idea. Terry, is that a 55? No, it's a 56. Dawn, creative shots are cool, but time suckers. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it definitely, man. And then, not only is it's you have to film it, right? You got to get the lighting right if you want it to look right. And then the editing process, it's all time. And gosh, it can take a lot of time. A lot of time. Rick Stevens, I remember you mentioning to yourself that you're out of 180 grit sandpaper. Yeah. I don't remember what all I said on that video, but yeah. Simone, getting close to 1 a.m. Barry in chat. I'm heading to sleep. Good night, all. Glad you're here, Simone. Appreciate you being here. Have a good night. And Roger says, good night, Simone. Terry, did I hear you say it was leaving? Congrats. Well, it's supposed to be leaving. It's supposed to be leaving. That's the rumor, but that's been a rumor for quite some time. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. I'll tell you that. The guys dropped the ball so many times. Left me kind of hanging on all this stuff. And I don't know. I'll tell you, you know what I don't want to say it, but I probably should just go ahead and file a mechanics lien on it. and that way he'll act on it, get it out of here. But he's told me he's coming to get it. He's told me that. Yeah, we'll see. Wally, I agree. Sometimes I just want to get it done, and setting up camera, lights, and then retake for flubs gets harder as the day goes on. Yes. Yes, there's so many things. Because what I used to do a lot when I would film something, and you've probably seen my bloopers I put sometimes at the end of videos. I'll try to do an intro, talk about what I'm doing. I'll miss something. And what I found myself doing was stopping the video and restarting, stopping the video and restarting. And what that ended up with, I might have 20 or 30 segments. And I already know I don't want 1, 2, or 3 or whatever. So now what I find that I do is I'll start my whatever I'm going to do. And if I mess it up, I just take a quick little stop, and then start again. And that way I have one video, even though it has maybe 3 or 4 bloopers in it. I have one video, and I can tell by without actually watching all of it, I can tell by the gaps where I start over that I go, okay, it was this one. That's the good one. I can just start there and delete everything else, and kind of helps me speed things up in a sense. Otherwise, you got to sit there and go through every one of your videos and figure out which one you like. So it just adds up time. Terry, please show the difference, the 56 Chevy behind you and a 55 Chevy. Well, I can't really show you the difference so much as tell you the difference. The 55 and 56, I mean, I think like from the firewall back to the front of the quarters is pretty much the same. But the 55 has a squared off wheel opening. Normally, like a regular car would have the squared off wheel opening. So you can't see the top of the tire. On the 56, it's got a long sweeping curve. So as it starts over the tire and it angles kind of back away from the rear wheel. That's probably the biggest difference visually looking at the side of the car. And then the 55 and 6, the grille is different. 55 has that cool, I don't think you can really beat the look of the 55 as far as that long oval grille. And the 56 has a big square, well, I'll say square. It's more flat and runs the width of the car. So that's the biggest difference. And then, of course, the taillights and stuff like that. So I really can't, other than kind of explain it that way, tell you anything else about it. Mac, what is it? It is the big version of this 66 Mustang Convertible that I started on 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Yeah, figure that out. The car came to me breaking in half, and I basically built a brand new car. I saved the door hinges from that other car and a few other pieces. And then I built a full-bodied 66 Mustang Convertible. The owner of the car provided me with some parts to finish the project. He provided me with an engine and transmission and suspension. I, through him, bought all the sheet metal and stuff. And then as we progressed into it, well, he kept changing plans on me and like adding more stuff to it. And then it came to a point where about probably almost 3 years ago now, at least two and a half, I was asking for parts and saying, hey, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. And he quit sending me parts. So I would ask, I would text him, or I might call him and say, hey, I need these parts. I can't do any more until I get these parts. And he wouldn't send them. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. but he quit sending me parts. So I ended up just stopping. I said, I'm done. I'm not going to work on this car ever again. And I started working. If you go to my videos, you'll see this was the Brooklyn Pony car. If you go back to the Jade videos, I had worked on Jade off and on for like the last 8 years. And so I said, well, this guy's not going to do his part and give me what I need, so I'm going to start working on Jade again. I ended up finishing Jade while his car just sat here. And so now I'm waiting on him to come get it, unfinished. I don't know, it's some sort of game to him, I guess. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. If I had a car at somebody's house or location, I was paying them to do work, and I would, either continue to pay and get the parts and all that stuff, or get it out of there, So I'm just stuck holding the bag right now. I've gotten paid somewhat for what I've done, but now I've got storage fees. Is the way I look at it, and I don't know. It's just frustrating as can be. That people take advantage of other people like that. He's wasting my time. He's wasting my time. He's wasting so much effort that I put into this car. And I really wish I could have finished it. Because it was I had all kinds of people watching on YouTube, and when I didn't have anything to work on, the viewership declined, the revenue declined. So he really just kind of just screwed it all up. Nobody to blame but him, in my opinion. Mr. Mikey Taylor's on a 55, 56, and 55 rocks. I like the 55. Yep. He says, dang. Yep. Doyle, gas fill is on side of a 55 and taillight of 56, and chrome trim is straight on quarter versus curve down on the 56. You're right. You're absolutely right. Now, I could try to turn this little camera I have. It's kind of hard to show you all that, but yeah, that's kind of what you see there. Okay. Donnie, let's show we talked about the bed liner for indicated mine in the past week and came out. Nice used Herculiner, 2 coats. That sounds awesome. So you used Herculiner. Okay. Oh, you said last show, not let's show. Last show. Okay. Now I got it. Terry, if he doesn't pick up his car, then maybe you should be charging storage fees. I am charging storage fees. And here's the funny part about that. I told him, I said, here's the way I look at it. I stopped working on it almost a year ago now. Like completely, it's been over a year. It's been well over a year. And we came to an agreement. And I told him, I said, here's my deal. I'm going to charge you for storage now $10 a day. And that was back in November. $10 a day for November. $11 a day for December. $12 a day for January. $13 a day for February. You can do the math. He came, and I told him, I said, here we are, here's where we're at numbers wise, right? And he was like, what? And I said, I told you what it was charging. I said, it's up to you to do something about it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it's going to be $50 a month. Just take up my garage, because I'm tired of this guy. I'm just tired of him. So I don't understand. He's acting all surprised that I'm going to charge him for what he's doing. But by golly, he's going to pay me. He's going to pay me. Or I'll just keep the car. I don't care. Mac, mechanics lean, move on after liquidating. Yes. Yep. Sorry, bro. And chat. Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating. Mac, taillight fill. Yes. Mr. Mikey, I took my driver's test in a 56. That's cool. I think I took my driver's test. What did I drive? Oh, it was a Renault Le Car. I'm pretty sure that's what I took my driver's test in. Probably a 1982 model. Yeah. Donnie says last. Excuse me. Yeah, I got it now. That's good. David Sherrill, we have the 64.5 convertible. It needs some TLC paid up front. Yeah. I understand that. I do. And I have to. That's why I'm reassessing how I'm doing things in the future, for sure. Because I can't just rely on, and I'm not. Obviously, this isn't the situation with you, but I can't rely on somebody giving me their word anymore. Just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Because they can tell you all they want, but unless they act on it and follow through, it's pointless. Does me no good whatsoever. But I appreciate you, David. Sure, I do. Let me see what else we have going on. So I mentioned about the 56, about redoing or finishing up the Z-bar and all that. I still have to weld the cross member, finish welding the cross member. I'm going to weld the transmission cross member. And then once I get everything painted, it's going to go, back to his place. So I don't know yet if he's going to want me to offer, to do some help, help him with this project at his place or not. I'm not against doing that. I know that right now if I don't have the parts for the Camaro or something else, maybe I'll do something with him and try to help, help him get this thing back on the road. Because that's the goal, is to make this car drivable. Doyle, trunk spatter paint versus Rust-Oleum stone textured paint. Thoughts? Well, I've not used Rust-Oleum stone textured paint, so I don't have any insight on that. I have used trunk spatter paint. It looks cool. I mean, it does what it says, so really can't complain about it. Is one better than the other? I can't say for sure. Mac, that's sad. Yeah, it is. And my word is my bond always. Yep. And that's I think it's part of the problem is not everybody's like that. They want to take advantage of people. So Dave and Cheryl, what's been up with Red Dave? As of right now, nothing. That is one of the things I want to get for Red Dave is the floor pan. So I was looking at doing that bundle order with the 67 parts and then Red Dave. If it stays Red Dave, I don't know. But I am really considering doing Red Dave, that car, as a patina car. Not doing any paint work to it. Not maybe do some PDR or something to get some dents out of it. But I'm really considering just leaving it the way it is. And I know somebody has mentioned to me before about they have a deck lid for that car, because for me, I don't know if it shows up in these pictures or not. That car, yeah, you can see it here. It's got a blue trunk lid that's rotted out. And I forget who it was. Somebody said they have a deck lid that's pretty much that color and faded out like that. And so I just thought it might look kind of cool to just leave it alone, make it drivable, make it, nice and mechanically sound and all that sort of thing. But kind of just leave the body alone. Now it's going to need the floor pan replaced, which is why I want to get the one-piece floor pan. I've been wanting to do that for a while and do a video on putting in the one-piece pan. So that's kind of like potential there. So we'll see how it goes. Sammy Lisa Smith. The word is the man. The word is what? The word is demand is hard to get these days. Oh, I don't know. The word is, I don't know what you're saying. It's hard to get, I guess you're implying that it's hard to get a man to stand by his word these days. I guess that's what you're implying. Terry, maybe you give a real shocker of a warning in text and tell him it will get sold at a scrapyard if he doesn't pick it up. See if he gets a response out of him. You know, I don't. If I thought it would get a response like I want, I might consider doing that. But I mean, if I were to make a YouTube video taking a plasma cutter and making it into pieces, recovering my welds out of it, I'm sure that would get noticed. Terry Keithley, how is the Yes Welder doing? It is working great. I've been using the 20. What's the model on it? 20. Oh, what is the number? I've been using the 5 function one on this car. The number. What is the number? I can't read it. It's the first test MP200, I think. Yeah. The first test MP200 is what I've been using to do all of the welding on this car. And that's the one that also has the plasma cutter built into it. And I think it has a TIG function too. I don't remember. But yeah, it's working great. It's doing very well. This is the one I don't know if I did a video. I did a video for Yes Welder, and I think they put it on their page or their channel or whatever. And I was showing the functionality of it, and I've shown it in some of the videos. Yeah, it's the MP200 Mac. I believe it's the MP200. That's the one that has the digital dials on it to where you can program the thickness of the metal, your wire size, your burn back, your 2T, 4T function, and a couple other things. But yeah, I'm really like it for what I'm doing on this car in particular. Now, I can't say for sure if I would be doing sheet metal work so much with that welder. It feels better doing heavier gauge stuff with it. Just for my opinion. Rick, Red Dave is a Mustang rat rod with the LS motor in it. Well, yeah, and somebody had suggested I make a gasser out of it. So yeah, that would really turn some heads. Make a rat rod kind of patina gasser with an LS engine in it. That would really turn heads at the car shows. Or I put that 427 in it that has the Hillborn fuel injection. Yeah, that's what I should do. Put that 427, turn it into a gasser. Have those stacks, the velocity stacks coming up out of the hood. That'll turn everybody's head at the cruise in. That would definitely. I doubt I'd win any trophies, and I'd probably have somebody wanting to kill me. But either that or I make it a 4-wheel drive. That's another option. Make it a 4-wheel drive. You know, it's funny. You talk about these, like Frankentruck. It's partly this and partly that and partly this, whatever. And I've had this idea for a while. One idea that if you've ever seen these cars called the Ariel Atom, I love the idea. The Ariel Atom is a production car. You can buy these things. They're sold or made over in Europe somewhere, England or whatever, I believe. And the car is like a slightly oversized go-kart. And what they do is they use an engine out of, I don't know if it's a Honda Civic, but they'll put like the Honda drivetrain, the front wheel drive drivetrain in the back of the car. And this thing sits low, 2-seater, really cool looking roll bar setup. And these things they'll fly. They are so fast. They've done testing on them where they've raced against like motorcycles, regular racing style motorcycles, and this car will almost beat them everywhere it goes. So anyway, if you look up Ariel Atom, you'll see what I'm talking about. But what I've thought about doing, and this would take some engineering, like the dune buggy, or if I could find another derelict dune buggy body and do that same kind of thing. Take a Honda Civic or whatever 4-cylinder and put that in the back of the dune buggy and leave the front suspension, or put in the Honda, whatever you can, make a front suspension for it, but make it a rear engine. Move the front engine to the rear, and then put in a radiator and all that stuff. I thought that would be a really cool project. And the other idea was, you ever see these off-road vehicles, these Razors or whatever they are, where you can spend a gob of money on these things. They're super fast, roll bar, everything already built in. Why couldn't you take one of those and put an old fiberglass dune buggy body on it and tag it as a Volkswagen? Like get a VIN number from a Volkswagen and put it on there somewhere and just say, yeah, it's one of these old dune buggies that I rebuilt. And you basically have this Razor out there that you can really have a lot of fun with on the street. So just some ideas that roll through my head every so often. Doyle, how about a Hemi motor from a Ram truck, about the same cost as a LS? It would be, but I have an LS sitting here in the back of my garage, unused, ready to go. So it's already paid for. David Sherrill, we have a 429 that would work for you. That would be quite the engine to put in that car. That would be. Terry, if you put a brand X in Red Dave, you'll find on your drive 1,000 cats. What? Was that like to hit? I don't want to hit any cats. Yeah. 4-wheel steering, that would be interesting. That would be a very interesting configuration. That would be interesting. Rick, they make a Subaru conversion for old school bugs. Yes, I've seen those. And you also could get the Corvair. You could put a Corvair engine in those bugs as well. Pretty interesting. I haven't seen the Subaru, but I haven't seen it one done, but yeah. Mac says, dude, I got a side-by-side that I'm in process of restoring. We got to chat. Well, just some ideas. Find you an old bug, a scrap bug that somebody's just wanting to get rid of. It's got a VIN number on it, right? It just so happens that VIN number is mounted on the tranny tunnel, just so you know, right in the middle on the tranny tunnel. Maybe you need to make a patch on your side-by-side. And you make it out of that piece. Just a patch. Like there's a hole or something. You have to fill it, right? Put a body on it. Hey, it's a Volkswagen side-by-side thingy. Rick, I was watching Frankentruck videos last night. Much more fun than what I did to the 04 2500 HT. Yeah, that was quite the build, and I am considering, let's say, redoing some of that truck. It works. It does what I want it to do. There are some issues that I'm not happy with, and I've always, in the grand scheme of that truck, I wanted to have the modern style gauges. So I put the gauge cluster in there. It's actually just sitting in the hole in the dash. I don't care. It's kind of a rat rod type thing anyway. And as time has gone on, I'm like, I should probably change this. So I'm considering yanking all of the computer stuff back out of it. Just pull it all out. And going back with a Holly system. They've got a plug and play Holly system where you can just connect to it. And then also putting in a Dakota Digital dash that would be a match to the original. Take the steering column back out, put in the original style steering column, and put in an original style seat. I'm really leaning that way because I like the way it is and the way it drives and all that stuff, but it just doesn't quite feel right. It needs to feel more like the original style truck, and right now it just doesn't, So I'm reconsidering how I built that truck, and I still like the idea of using the frame and all the drivetrain and all that sort of thing. That will all work great, but yeah, there's some ideas going on. When I can get to it, I don't know, but I'm thinking about it. If that counts for anything. Doyle, it could be called Thing 2, like Dr. Seuss. There you go. I like that. Give you a bell. Okay. So we were talking, I mentioned in the video link that there's a variety of things we might talk about. Yeah, Terry says, people used to make dune buggies out of Volkswagen Beetles. Yes, that's the primary dune buggy. That's the I have some videos on that process where I took a Volkswagen Bug, and I shortened the chassis 14 inches and then put the fiberglass body on it. So there's some videos on that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know. I'm just going to bring this up because, we can talk about just about any kind of thing here. But if any of you are fans of this TV series on Netflix called Stranger Things, I don't know if anybody watched that or not. We got talked into watching that when it started a couple years ago, whatever. And it's kind of cool the way what they're doing and how they're doing it and all that stuff. But what I find really cool is the time period. So there's a lot of stuff going on in that show that's like in the mid 80s. And what they're doing is they're bringing in cars that are from the maybe 60s, maybe 70s, and I like seeing that part of that part of the process. There's been several other shows like that where they bring in these old cars. There's been several scenes where a group of the guys, whatever, were out in some desert location, and there's a whole bunch of rusted bodies sitting in this like pit. So it's just kind of cool to see that and know that they're still using those kind of things. I think we take it for granted sometimes when we watch certain TV shows or movies or anything like that, that some of the cars in the movies now aren't even real. Like, they're CGI. They're not even a real car. So like I've seen, I forget what the movie was, but they had done the CGI effect, and they had built a set, but they had everything was fake behind these people, including the traffic, the buildings, all these different things. And the cars were like from the, I don't know, 20s and 30s. They had looked like Duesenbergs and Rolls Royce, different types of vehicles like that from that time period. And it makes you appreciate, in my opinion, the effort they go into to make that look like it's actually there. Sometimes it's better to do that than where you see some movies where they'll take a classic car and destroy it. I'd almost rather see the dudes go ahead and do CGI and trash it in the digital world rather than do damage to a real car. But of course, we can go back and look at any Dukes of Hazzard and realize how many cars they destroyed in that TV series, just jumping a 68 Charger like they ever expected it to literally land and drive away. They destroyed so many cars in that series. And you look back today, there's these gatherings where they have a Dukes of Hazzard festival or whatever, and they'll take a pretty bad body of a 68 and they'll graft it onto a Crown Vic. I don't know if you've seen that before. They'll take the Crown Vic chassis and they'll graft the 68 body onto it, and they're usually just barely there. And there's enough that they can kind of hold it together and cover it in Bondo and throw some paint on it, and then they'll go out and they'll jump that thing and just destroy it. And I get it. There's people out there that really get into that stuff. But there were so many of those cars that were destroyed in that TV series, along with many other vehicles in this movies made in the 70s and stuff like that. Suburban Hooligan. Last year at a VW show, there was a guy with a Baja Bug body on a 4x4 side chassis. Can't remember if it was street legal. See, that's what I was talking about. Because really, if you look at it, let's put it in some perspective. The old dune buggies that are made from a Volkswagen, you would bolt this fiberglass body onto a flat pan, maybe 6 or 8 bolts hold that body onto the pan. Putting a roll bar in it, it's more cosmetic than anything. You'd have to put a real serious roll cage all the way around everybody in the car. So is it safe? No. It wasn't safe when they built them back in the 70s. So you look at the idea of taking one of these modern style 4x4s, right? Razors or whatever they are. And they've got disc brakes. They've got lights. They have turn signals. They have all these different things. Some of them probably have ABS for all I know. They have automatic transmissions in them. All kinds of stuff. What's the difference? To me, it's like this thing that you want to drive on. You could drive it on the street, put some street tires on it. I don't care. What's the difference? Now, if you look at it from a safety standpoint, that thing's got a built-in roll cage, 4 or 5-point harnesses already built into it. Make them street legal. Who cares? Really. Yeah, here in Georgia, you could drive rail buggies on the street. Yeah, drive a rail buggy with a plexiglass windshield in it, and that's it. No fenders, nothing. But you have to have lights. I don't think you even have to have wipers. You just have to have lights and a windshield, and you can drive it. You can take a regular, you can take vehicles like this. You can take the doors off, like the Jeeps. People take the doors off of Jeeps. You can do that with one of these. Anymore, I've seen some really interesting stuff that people have done with these cars. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of these, where they take a Corvette, like a C4 Corvette, and they'll gut the body off of it. Just get rid of the body, and they'll basically weld up a roll cage on it and just drive it on the street like it's some sort of Mad Max thing. But it's legal. It's got a VIN number on it. It's got functional lights and all that sort of thing. But those razor things, I don't really care if they're on the street or not. Because if somebody gets in an accident, that thing doesn't have airbags, so it's on that person. They're responsible for themselves once they start driving something like that. Rick, I sometimes like to watch old TV shows just to see all of the old cars. Yeah, I do too. And you look at some of the crazy stuff that they did with these cars. And, if you watch some of the stunts they pulled off, especially, I don't know, any kind of the police shows where they roll a car off into a ditch, chips and stuff like that. The old Burt Reynolds movies, Gator and all that stuff. And sometimes you watch those guys crash those cars, and you look at it and you think, that hurt. That had to hurt. There's no way that guy landed, because they didn't have, like today, they'll use computer generation or programming to figure out how fast they need to be going, weight and balance on the vehicle to make sure it flows, it goes the right way. They have these specialty ramps that they use, all kinds of stuff like that. Whereas back in the 60s and 70s, even into the 80s, they were like, put that ramp at, I don't know, 38 degrees, see what happens. Put a roll bar in it. Good luck. And you'll see these guys hit these ramps, and even hitting the ramps, you'll see like the front end collapse on a car, and the car might go sky high, or just all kinds of crazy stuff. And there's lots of times where you look at it and you go, "There's no way that guy easily walked away from that." And there's no way, just no way. Max says legal here in Arizona. He's talking about the side by sides. Okay, well I get it. They should be. Dave Tyson. In Minnesota, some side-by-sides are street legal here. See, and I wouldn't be too surprised if at some point they make them street legal. Like here in Georgia, I don't know what the holdup would be, because they've got lights and turn signals and all that sort of thing. It really wouldn't bother me to see them drive as long as they are legal. Michael Pagliarini. Hello all, late to the party. Still recovering from my daughter's wedding yesterday. Well, congratulations. I'm sure you're a little poorer today after pulling that off. Yeah. Congratulations. Okay, let's see what else we have going on. Robert, most everything is illegal here in Texas. Can't even register Japanese, I don't know how you say that. Is it Ki or Kai trucks? So you're talking about the little Japanese trucks that are like half the size of this car, which are pretty cool. Suzuki's and Toyota and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's pronounced K. Okay, I'll go with that. I know you've sent me some pictures of those before. I don't know if did I ever post any of those? I don't think I did. I don't think I did. But I mean, I like little vehicles. I really don't have a problem with them. That's why I like driving my little Honda Civic. I mean, my Honda Fit, not the Civic, the Honda Fit. Okay, Rick. The original Gone in 60 Seconds, written, produced, filmed, and starring, and funded by a Hollywood stuntman. Yep. H.B. Halicki, I think. I really like that movie. Oh, let's see. Terry Baptist I always okay, I guess he always thought Buford T. Justice was funny from Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah. Yeah, that's such an odd pairing when you think about it. Jackie Gleason as a Southern cop. That's just Arkansas. Sorry, Mac. I guess Arizona's AZ, isn't it? My bad. I'll give you a bell. Yeah, I don't keep up with that, but yeah, sorry about that. So some are legal in Arkansas or Arkansas. Dawn's manufacturer, Michael, empty nester. Yeah, he's asking Michael. Max says, "Hua." Yep, I'm with you. Terry Keith says, now Jay Brandon says, go electric. Never, never. Yeah, no thanks. Ain't gonna happen. Robert, would love to have one with a dump bed and a lift kit, etc. Would be fun. It would be. Let me see if I know you sent me a picture of that before, but yeah. Um, hold on a second. Yeah, I always thought these were cool. I know that years ago, my dad had. Oh, okay, Robert. My dad had found somewhere a Suzuki. Pretty sure it was a Suzuki, um, like a minivan. It was it was just like something from the late '60s, early '70s, and that thing, it was tiny. It had a two-cylinder engine in it. Um, but I remember kind of looking at it when I was a kid, thinking, "This is it was like the size of a golf cart, but it was a street legal um, minivan from Japan." And I don't know whatever happened to it. But I'm going to show you this is what we're talking about. Now that's one brand, um, and you can see it's got some little add-ons and stuff like that. Um, oh, yeah, Robert, that didn't work. Whatever you sent me is like a thousand lines of text, so that didn't work. But we got a picture up anyway. So we're talking about that kind of thing, and they're not street legal here in the U.S., but they use them in Japan all the time. And so there are companies that import them over here. Apparently, you can, if they're over a certain age, I think you can register them. Depending on your state, I think you can register them. I think it has to be like 20 or 25 years old, I think. Robert says, we'd love to have one with a dump bed and a lift kit. Oh, yeah, I said that already. He sent me a picture, but it wasn't a picture. Doyle, I always liked the car from the VW and the WW and the Dixie Dance Kings. Wasn't it a 55 or 56 Olds? I think that's what it was. I want to say that's right in that 55, 56, and I think it was an Oldsmobile. I've only seen that movie one time, but I always thought that was cool. And I don't know if that movie's available somewhere or not. I haven't tried to find it, but I'd like to see it again because that was definitely a cool car. Mac says, Craftsman, I got one with a dump bed in the works. Okay, so Craftsman. All right. Michael, yes, my oldest daughter, not married yet, lives in Arizona. That's AZ, Arizona. Robert, the Suzuki van is also a K car. K cars came in several styles, but all have to fit into the same size space. Yeah, they're really, I mean, they're really kind of cool overall. The designs of them, and what you can do with them. Now, would you do very well in a collision? Probably not. I would venture you would suffer tremendous injuries, because these cars they're not up to U.S. standards as far as safety stuff. But hey, that's how it is. Max says 500cc. Okay, that'll work. I think what was the first Honda? What was the first Honda Civic CVCC? Wasn't that like a 600 cc's? If I remember, I think. Robert, are over 25, and then it depends on the state. Most were four-wheel drive. Some had locking rear differential. Some had superchargers. 660 was the biggest engine. Okay. Now you're saying you can't register that in Texas even after 25 years? Because that would not be cool. Yep. Arizona. I got it. Terry, have you ever seen a car with three wheels? In person? Well, I've seen plenty of cars with three wheels, but not one that was intentionally made with three wheels. I can't think of one I've seen in person. I know over in England they have those odd looking three-wheeled vehicles over there. I don't know what they call them, but I have not seen one in person. Jerry says, yes, Honda 600, cool car. You know, what's interesting on that the first CVCC, I saw a video, I think it might have been a documentary or something, and this guy who was he had been rebuilding those things. He would find them, put them back together, and somebody had contacted him and said, hey, I got this old Honda I want to sell. And so he said, well, okay, what do you want for it, or whatever the question, conversation was. And he said, well, I think you probably need to come see it first. And the guy said, well, I've seen these cars before. I know what they need. He says, no, you probably need to come see this. I think is how it kind of went. And the guy went and looked at it, and it was serial number 1. If I remember correctly, it was serial number 1, the very first car sold in the United States. Honda Civic CVCC. And the guy was like, what? No way. And he researched it, and sure enough, it was the very first car sold in the U.S. And it needed restoration, but he restored that thing. Pretty amazing story. And of course, those little cars, it was hard to beat those things. I mean, really, they were pretty well made for what they were. Max says, all but the supercharger, yes. Talking about, what? 500cc? I don't know. Kind of lost me on that one. Robert, no, Texas doesn't allow them. People that do have them in other states pay very little insurance on them, around $200 a year in many cases. Okay. So where do you need to move to, Robert? So you can register it. Or can it be registered in Georgia and you just borrow it? You could just borrow it. We could, we could work that out. Oh man. Okay. All right. It's Labor Day. I'm hungry. I'm ready to go get something to eat. And it's been great having everybody here. We're down to 34. I did not expect a huge crowd tonight, but I thank everybody for being here and participating. I am working on the next video for the 56 Chevy, and it's going to be the Z-Bar, maybe a few other things in that process. But I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to go get something to eat, and I don't think it probably won't be a bowl of ice cream tonight, as much as I would like it to be. But anyway, I'll be back here next Monday at 7 once again. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.